Hello, everyone. Hope you are well on this Sunday morning. It is January 14th of 2024. I'm going to give you my take, some thoughts on the movie Leave the World Behind. There's a lot of chatter about it. There's been a lot of hype surrounding it. I'm gonna give some thoughts on that. And bear with me. Hear me out. Hear me out. When I talk about it. Okay, I'm going to do that. Also have a very good verse I'm going to share towards the end of this video that I believe is very crucial. It's something you want to hear. So stay tuned for that. First, real quick, kind of a continuation, kind of an update from my last video on the Texas Military Guard. It looks like, at least so far, from what I can tell, it looks like they're still holding the line down there at part of the border, at least in Texas, at Shelby Park at Eagle Pass. I guess, about 2 or 3 days ago now, they seized the park there and are blocking access to the park. They're blocking the border patrol, the feds, from being able to get through there and facilitate the surge that continues. So just wanted to give that quick update. Want to keep an eye on this situation because I believe that could be, like I said in my last video, I think that could be it is a big deal. Is it a flashpoint? Very well could be. Very well could be. It's not the first time that's happened in the history of the United States. I'll put it that way. All right, I'm going to go right into this, y'all. Uh, there was a lot of hype about this movie, and after hearing some things about it, I had decided I'm not interested in watching it. However, I'm glad I did. We don't have Netflix here, and apparently that looks like the only way you can watch this movie, at least for now. And we're not fans of Netflix particularly. Mrs. Ask Mrs. Dawg what she thinks about Netflix, and she'll probably just keep it to like one word: nope, nope, not happening. However, uh, we traveled. We watched it yesterday. We traveled about an hour or so north of where we live to see some family that we see quite, fairly often, that live in the good old North Georgia mountains, because we're not far from the mountains here. But we spent some good time, good quality time. It was a great time, actually, and good folks. And we spent some time and we watched the movie. And I'm going to give you some takeaways here. All right. I do believe everybody should watch it. I really do. Now, I'm going to give you some negatives about it first, and then kind of point out some things that I believe could be beneficial about it. All right. First, and these are in no particular order. Uh, I think it's overrated. I think it's a bit overhyped. Uh, Again, I I want to stress. I think everybody should watch it. I really do. Um, Realize that it is a movie. It is just a movie. This is not actually happening out there right at the moment. I do understand though how folks can, when you're watching this, you get into it. It can start to give you a little anxiety. It can. It really can. I understand that. So yeah, I think it's a little over. I think it's a little overrated. You know, language. You're going to have some language in it. You just got to get through that. All right. I think in some ways it's kind of dumb. I mean, it's a little inconsistent in some ways, but every movie has its flaws. Okay. And there is some divisiveness in it, built into it. You'll see what I mean. That is unnecessary. I don't think that's necessary. I really don't. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. It's a bit divisive, a theme that's running through it a bit. However, again, I will say it's. I recommend you watch it because it is plausible. This could very well happen. The way this sets up and the way it plays out as far as the overall event. Okay, now it concentrates on a small number of characters. I won't go into that. I don't want to give away. I don't want to spoil things if you haven't watched it and you want to watch it. So I'll try to speak in my overall take on it, Um, but my main several takeaways from this that could be beneficial as preparedness people, like most of us are, is that number one, this could happen. How likely is it? I don't know. If you put a percentage on it, I just don't know. I'm not a an expert when it comes to. I'm not in the know as far as how likely this could actually happen in real life. But I do believe it is plausible. It really is. So for that reason, I think we need to be ready. Be ready is my main takeaway from this. Um, I think that some of the main things also is we need to prepare for uh, a, a, an adjustment and to be able to adapt to rapidly changing events. Okay. Part of that could be loss of electricity, not for just an hour or two, for days, possibly for weeks, possibly longer. Okay. And if and when that happens, I think the people that come to a realization and accept that earlier on probably have a better chance of surviving and or really adapting to this. Um, I think the movie makes a good point about that is acceptance and the ability to adapt. Okay. Life without power, adapting to a new reality. All right. And you could make an argument in certain ways we have adapted to a new reality just over the last 3 to 4 years. I believe that. We talk about living in the twilight zone. It ain't temporary. I think it's ongoing and it looks to be permanent. All right. I think it's a good reminder to be ready as far as the basics, physicality, your physical readiness. Okay. Supplies like medical, even just basic stuff like Tylenol, ibuprofen, aspirin, bandages, stuff like your Neosporin, honey. Honey has natural antibiotics. If you have antibiotics or can get them, get them, get them. All right. So medical stuff. If you have somebody with medical knowledge, even better. All right. That's huge. Uh, water, fresh water, access to fresh water, water filtration. Yes, you can store it, but that'll help you through a temporary thing. And yes, I think you should do that. We do that. But I think you need to have a long-term plan on that too. Food, sustainability, that. Um, I think it. I don't. I don't want to give too much away, but there's also a very, very interesting part in the movie where they talk about the powers that be, or as I call them, the powers that should not be, and whether or not they really are in control. It's very, very interesting. I would watch the movie if nothing else for that one scene. It is very, to me at least, it's very, very interesting, and I believe it's very true. Actually, I believe that, and I won't say any more on that. I just want to pique your interest on that. But that's one of the better parts of the movie. The powers that shouldn't be. All right, who's in control? Who's really in control? Well, we know who really, really is in control, don't we? We know God is still on the throne. We know that. And I think that's the main thing to remember also as you're watching this. However, he gave us a brain, and we know from examples in the Bible, especially like Noah and um, Jacob. Was it Jacob? I'm drawing a blank. I know Noah for sure, but you could be ready for things, okay? So because these can happen in the twinkling of an eye, they can happen when you least expect it, okay? That's also another takeaway. Be ready on the basics. Information, having information from the outside world when things are going awry, all right, in real time, all right? It's so even something like, I didn't even bring it, a battery operated little transistor radio, you know, or a radio. We have a radio here too that is solar. It could be solar powered and has a hand crank on it. You get them pretty cheap. All right. Information from the outside, even if it's just the state, what you're hearing from the government, at least you know something. Okay. To get alerts, because if your power's out, your internet's out, the GPS is not working. Okay. You can't get on the internet. Your cell phone's pretty useless. All right. Information is huge. All right. What about life without GPS? A lot of folks, a lot of our population would not be able to cope with not having GPS, not having the access to their cell phone to be able to use it, or their laptop, or whatever, you know, whatever it is. Access to the internet. Life without access to internet. I think a lot of us, especially us older folks, and I'm not saying everybody, there are exceptions to all of this, but in general, a lot of us old, especially those over at the age of 40, would adapt quicker to that. Now, I'm not saying if you're under 40. I know I have quite a few here that are younger. And if you're watching this, my channel, and you're under 40, you probably are in the category that you would probably also adapt well, even though you're younger, to a situation like this. But I know a lot of younger folks would be totally lost and in trouble. Uh, the inability to cope with that, to not have your cell phone, to be able to use it. And if you have to go somewhere, oh my goodness, you can't just pop Waze on there or Google Maps. All right. You may have to have a real map, like a real map. And not just have one, but be able to read it. There is a large segment of the population right now. If you put a map in front of them, they're going to be like, dog, I don't know. What do we do here? Better learn. You better learn. You know, having something like a compass, a real compass might help too. Not an electronic one. Electronics ain't going to work. You know, a real compass. Even just a small one that's part of a knife or something, okay? Heck, your vehicle may not even work. It may not even crank up. It might. But GPS ain't gonna work. You gotta know where you're going. You driving. You're driving now. So no cell phone, PC, internet, possibly electricity. Like I said, first aid, basic medical, you know, books, stuff to pass the time, okay? I admit too, you know, we could just get on the electronics and get lost in that world. But what if you don't have that? You know, think about when we were kids. We just spent most of our time outside, didn't we? We loved it. I mean, our parents had to probably drag us in. And if we didn't get in before dark, before the street light came on, we were in trouble. We were in trouble. All right. All right. So books, games, board games, cards, playing cards, know how to do things, books too. You know, and if everything from just basic know-how, handyman, handy woman, gardening, bartering items. This movie may make you think a little bit about bartering too. Okay. Cash, having some cash out. Now, two things about cash. Okay, let's say the grid's down, your credit card ain't gonna work, debit card ain't gonna work. Having cash, well, yeah, dog, I got cash. That, I think that would be effective in the opening scene, in the opening stages of something like this, an event that's similar to this even. I think cash would be valuable. You know, you could go ahead and grab stuff in the first few days. Now, long term, if something like this were to occur and there's no correction and there's no bringing it back anytime soon, cash is going to be useless. So I would still say have cash out, but I wouldn't have like, you know, you don't necessarily have to have a large amount. You know what I mean? That's up to every individual. Every person's different about that. Okay, but I'd have some out definitely. All right, so that's kind of my take on this. I like I said, I didn't want to give away, you know, be a spoiler on this and give away anything if you haven't seen the movie. But share your thoughts too on this. I know probably a good many of you have seen this, and share your thoughts about it. And has it helped you? Has it made you see the holes in your preps? You know, has it made you think about something you haven't thought about in a while? I think it's good for that too. It really is. The biggest thing is, yes, this could actually happen. I really do think it's possible. Like I said, all right. Again, shake the. I'm going to go to the verse because it's a dang good one. Dang good one. All right. It is, let's see, Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 12, verse 2 says, Behold, God is my salvation. I will trust and will not be afraid, for the Lord God is my strength and my song, and he has become my salvation. Amen. With him, we've already won, y'all. Now, we may have to go through some soup. We may have to go through some bad stuff, but he will be with us through it, and most certainly after it. That's the best part, and that we do win. So keep that in mind, and remember how much the Bible talks about not being afraid. Over 365 times, which is what, every day of the year. So I think that's for a dang good reason, y'all. All right. Again, let's keep in prayer, keep our walk close with God, and keep close to Jesus. All right. God bless you. I'll see you soon.